Yeah, lowest of the low.
Yeah, baby. Big show happening at the warehouse, April 12th.
12th.
WarehouseNiagara.com to get your tickets. And
Yes.
I'm looking forward to that.
I am too. And we just played Rosie and Gray
Yep.
from their first album.
Yep.
Shakespeare, My Butt. So, without ado, please welcome Ron Hawkins.
All right.
Lowest of the low.
Yeah.
Hey, hi guys, how's it going?
Yay.
Doing well. How you doing, Ron?
Great.
Good, my man.
Thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Excited to have a little chat with you
Yeah,
about music and everything life.
sounds good. That's my jam.
Yes.
Yes.
Let's start with the show Friday, April 12th at the Warehouse with Iron Roses.
Yeah. That's a great story because I just sort of discovered them for myself on Instagram, and as these things would happen, I reached out to them one night. I just said, "Hey, it sounds like you guys are trying to save the world." And I said, "I'm in a band that's trying to save the world too." I said, "How about we get together and save the world together?" And I sent them a little mini link of our last record, Welcome to the Plunder Dome. And within 10 minutes, 15 minutes maybe, they got back to me and they're like, "Done, let's do it."
We're in.
And it's
That's
like, they're
awesome.
from Maryland, right? So it's like they said, "Should we hook our agents up?" And I said, "No, let's just hook it up ourselves, and then we'll tell our agents."
Oh, that's
Yeah.
beautiful.
After we're done.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great. It was just sort of like, a couple of buddies finding each other on the internet and getting it done.
I feel that's the way you like to do business, because the band is very, or known for not being very corporate, just kind of like the punk influence, doing your own thing, and, you reached out to them on Instagram, you hook it up, and you tell the agents later, this is what we're doing. That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean that's worked for us. I mean, I know it's maybe not a roadmap for everybody.
Right.
Some people don't have the, some people need the. I mean, I was on a panel with Ron Sexsmith one time, and I thought that we were sort of down one end, and it was all the sort of corporate lawyers and stuff up the other end. It was a music festival, and I was like, "Oh, I guess we're supposed to be the punk rock indie guys." And Ron said, "Oh no, man, I have to be on a label." He said, "I can't even hang posters myself, right?"
Oh, wow.
Really?
I said, "Oh, I'm up here by myself then, Ron?" So I mean, it's not for everybody, but I think when you find that and get good at taking care of yourself and taking care of business, then there's no reason to get too many people involved.
Do you like it that way? Because, I mean, you were signed with Warner and everything, and do you like it that way, just doing your own thing? Because it seems like it's got to be a little bit harder. Is it not?
Well, I don't know. It's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, because it's like I find when we are working with a machine, half the time we have to chase the machine around to make sure they're doing their job. And it's like you spend so much time crossing T's and dotting I's. You're like, I probably could have saved time by doing this ourselves.
That's very true. Something I never thought of. Yeah.
Get it done quicker and the way you want it done, right?
Yeah, and that said, it's like Warner was great for us, and the only reason we dipped our toes in with Warner was because Steve Kane was the president at the time.
Yeah.
And as George Stroumboulopoulos used to refer to him as like the last punk rock president, he really got us, and we really got him. But our other forays with major labels have been pretty much, I would say our first foray with a big label in '94 pretty much helped break up the band.
Oh, wow. I would have never thought that, yeah.
Yeah, we were just not really wired that way.
Yeah.
I was actually going to touch a bit on that. The many, creation of Lowest the Low and breakups and reforming and how does that happen, and emotionally how does that work for everyone involved?
Yeah, it's hard, I find having a band or my partner Jill makes films, and that's even worse because there's even more people involved, but it's I don't know how people keep things together. You hear about these bands like U2 and stuff. I don't know how people do that, where they've been together for 40 years and there's never been a break.
Yeah.
Because I love all the guys in Los, though they love me.
Yeah.
And it's even with all that love going around, it's still a lot like siblings, and you do this kind of fighting and and it's everybody's baby, and everybody has a bit of an ego, and it's close to everybody's heart, and you're also putting your life energy into it. So it's you're very invested, and then you've got people, sometimes shooting down your ideas, or you're doing that to them, and I find like, those people are so close to you that they're like brothers and sisters. They don't spend a lot of time making it nice,
Yeah.
They just tell you the straight, and you need that. You need
And
somebody to tell you
because
the
you're
straight.
so close, it does sting a little bit more when things clash.
Yeah. And then put each other in a van for, upwards. I think sometimes we did 250 shows a year, and it was like, and we were just like, in each other's faces, like you would never be with your partner or with your family, like, just
Yeah.
an unreal amount of time. It's just kind of crazy.
The energy must change though when somebody new comes into the band. Even though it's somebody that you selected or whatever, it's got to be a change in with the old and with the new. How do we dip our toes into making something sound good or the same as it was? Like that's got to be different.
Yeah, for sure. And I would say it's almost like a pyramid or an iceberg. It's like, the music part is sticking up above the ocean, but the whole giant iceberg is really more about the hang and about what kind of person are you, and do we see the world kind of at least in a similar way? And for us right now, this version of the low is so well oiled, and everybody's facing in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
But really, we talk a lot about where we're going to eat.
Yeah, you're spending a lot of time on the road. I mean, you can go out and perform, but you're spending a lot of time on the road, so you have to gel.
Yeah, it has to be a good hang,
Right. Yeah.
And it can work even if it's not. If all the ducks are in a row, and your band is very popular, you can write out a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
But I think in my history with the band, it was a very dysfunctional family when it wasn't functional because we just didn't deal with a lot of stuff, and the machine was always moving, so we could kind of easily just sort of put important stuff on the back burner and we'll deal with it later. And of course, that's not a good recipe.
Right. Well, I guess not. Does that change through COVID? Does that change you run through COVID and everything is shut down and then what? Everything becomes important again? It's almost like, do you have to restart? Do you have to dip yourself into the market again? Is it different from when you guys are rocking and rolling and you don't have to worry about the important stuff?
Yeah, I think so. It's like, I think a combination of things happens is like, we're in a band, so we haven't grown up too much, but we've grown up enough that I think everybody has a real sense of how blessed we are to be. I turned 59 in November, and it's like every day I'm very aware how blessed I am that people give a shit and that I'm out there and still doing stuff. They still care about old songs. They're still interested in new songs. Like, I'm living a blessed life, and it's like I understand that in a way I wouldn't possibly have understood it when I was 25.
Yes, of course. It's hard to spend your whole career in music, and it's like you say, blessed.
Speaking,
and you meet these magical people, and when you're young, you don't know that you're meeting magical people. You just think, oh yeah, I'll meet thousands of people like this as I get older, and then
very true.
Then you get older and you realize, wow, those magical people I met in my early 20s, or and of course all through my life, some people like that, but it's like they're few and far between, and you really gotta be, you really have to honor that.
Very true.
And that's something that you gotta learn to do, and especially as a little snotty punk rock kid, I never thought about that stuff until I grew up a bit.
Yeah, very, very well said.
Speaking of having been doing music for so long, pre-91 for records released, is there a change in the evolution or how would you describe that change of your evolution of songwriting within each of these decades and as you age?
Yeah, that's interesting. I heard Bob Dylan talking about something like this, which is that he talks about, the sort of Greenwich Village, the era of Bob Dylan I really like the most, the sort of, big black sunglasses and little mod suit, that he doesn't have access to that guy anymore. And he's like, I couldn't write songs like that if I wanted to now.
Oh, wow.
And I've even thought, like, there was a moment in the low where our bass player said, hey, maybe we should actually try to write kind of Shakespeare 2.0, like another. And I was like, it's so specific. It's like, I remember those days, like 90 and 91 when I was writing those songs, like, it was such a specific place I was in.
Sure.
And it was this kind of amazingly romantic blend of, I was just newly not having a job. I was free and poor and, hanging out at bars every night and meeting crazy people. And, it's just, it was I said, like the universe handed me a whole bunch of stuff and said, here you go. If you can't write an album with this stuff, then you should pack it in, right?
Right.
And so now, now I'm in a very different part of my life, but it's like I still have access to the kind of excitement I think I felt when I was 16 even. Like, I still feel like that, which is kind of amazing. And I don't know, it's magic, and I try not to think of, pull it apart too much and think about what it means, because it's kind of a magical thing. I like to just sort of...
I think it's in the veins, in the toolbox. You always have it.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I'm wondering, does it the head you have on when you're writing this music, does it change when you're writing for the band as opposed to yourself?
Not really. I mean, I'm kind of, because as a songwriter, I'm kind of just writing all the time. And but what I do notice is that a song will come out and I go, well, that's a low song. Like, there's no way that's anything other than a low song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's a bunch of stuff that could be a low song, could be a solo song. I also sometimes have another band called the Do Good Assassins, and maybe that's a Do Good Assassin song, but it could definitely be a low song. And then there's every now and then there's some stuff. Like, I released an EP last May called Trash Talking at the Speed of Sound, and it was a little bit more like, well, now I'm just going to experiment with some synths and some different things that, there's no drums on this one or whatever, and that stuff just winds up being solo, because I don't feel like I can go in and go, well, here's, okay, you're not playing on this one.
Yeah.
And I'm going to bring a bunch of synths in here, and, we're not going to have guitars on this one. It's like, so they kind of fall into their own slots, pretty much.
What kind of set list are you guys going to be bringing to
You can't ask
to April
about the
12th?
set list.
Well, I'm just saying, the mood of the set list.
Lowest of the low,
Well, here I
baby.
go. I'm going to name all 18 songs right now.
No, I don't expect
Back to
that.
front.
I'm just thinking, what should fans be expecting at that show?
Well, it's funny because, because we're so invested in the community that's around our music, and it's not really just about us. When people come to our shows, it's like there's so much else going on there, and we're invested in that because we have always wanted to do that, just sort of build a community that we're part of.
Yeah.
So we know from people, because they'll tell us all the time. Like, I know the ones that really would be happy if we just came up and played Shakespeare in My Butt. And I know the ones who are like, no, man, play the whole last record that you just released, and so it's trying to make everybody, we've got such a catalog to draw from now that we usually there's definitely a good chunk from Shakespeare usually, because we recognize that is a very nostalgic, romantic part of our story. And then usually there's a big chunk of whatever is the last one we just did. And then we sort of fill out, and we make sure we have stuff from each record. And we also try to, if we play a bunch of shows close together, we try and speckle it out too, so they're not the same show. If anybody comes back to two shows or something, they're not seeing exactly the same show.
I think the fans are going to be super excited because it is the Warehouse. It's a kind of an intimate venue, and if you're used to seeing Lowest of the Low in Toronto and places like Lee's Palace or something, and you play a lot in Buffalo, I notice, and this is right in between that. So I think the community here in St. Catharines, in Niagara, are going to be pumped up to see you guys at the Warehouse. I think that's going to be a great show come April 12th.
Yeah, I love that place. We played there a few years ago.
Oh, nice.
We came through with Sky Wallace and her band, and it was great.
Yeah. I remember that. I wanted to go a little personal and touch on your artwork. Because I myself, I am not an artist, but every Thursday, my best friend and I, we do a kind of a paint day, and we just do a paint tutorial kind of thing, and we paint, and it's just so much fun to do together, and just kind of create with our hands in a different manner. How did that all start, and how's it going?
It's going great, and it's one of my favorite stories is that, I drew like everybody did when they were kids, and was really into it when I was a kid, and I never painted, and sort of, the band started in my early 20s, 30s, stuff like that. I was always really interested in visual art, but I never painted or anything like that. But when I would go to another country or something, it was like I would never go see bands. I would always just go to art galleries and stuff. So it was always something that I was interested in. And then when I got together with Jill, we started dating in 99, I think it was, and maybe in about 2001, we were in a gallery, and I said, painting always strikes me as an amazing kind of, looks so tactile and everything. And we were early in a relationship, and my birthday came up, and she bought me a whole bunch of art supplies. And I was
that's
like, then I was
awesome.
like, oh shit, maybe that was just a flippant comment, right?
Right.
But I started painting, and the minute I started, I was completely hooked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's gone down as in this thing, and I paint it every day, and now I do it so regularly, and it's such a big part of my life
Oh,
that
wow.
I always say, like, isn't it funny that we have these things in us, and if a person, like a friend or a lover, isn't listening to us when we're talking, that never would have happened. I could easily have just gone all this time and have never painted, but
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
about to talk about the the emotion that is put into paintings and how you extract that and how your art changes from how you're feeling. Do
Yeah,
you
it's very different from songwriting, I find, because like it really is one of those things where like I will sort of stand up or walk over and sort of stretch my back and go, oh my God, I've been painting for 6 hours and I've been sort of lost in it and not really thinking about time.
Yeah.
So that's been amazing. And then these ones there's a style I call beer graffiti walls, which is based on one of my Low songs, but it's a big sort of messy multimedia, acrylic and spray paint and collage and all this kind of stuff. And it's very aggressive, like it's very physical when I do it. And that's a really great outlet for just a lot of stuff, sort of political stuff or philosophical stuff I'm thinking. And I do a lot of scratching into the paint with words and stuff like that. And it's kind of exciting to me. It's really tactile and exciting. All those things that I thought it might be like before I had ever done it, I'm glad to say that that's exactly what it feels like.
How long was the trial and error period of using different textures, tactiles, and different ways of painting and like finding your rhythm into making something that you liked?
I think it's still happening. I really feel like it's I really adhere to that idea that, you're just the best way to live your life is just to be curious and keep trying things until they put you in the ground or in a little urn or whatever they're going to do with me. Is that, like I love, there's a Bob Dylan quote again about, and it may be from the Bible or something, I don't know, but he was not busy being born, is busy dying.
Yes.
And I like that. I think like every day I like to think, what can I get up to? And, what other things can I add to the toolbox? And so I'm always looking for things and always trying things. And, lots of those things are dead end alleys, but in a way I don't think there is any because you learn stuff anyway, right?
Yeah. Well, some of the new things that have been done, and something I want to address for the fans that are going to be coming to the warehouse is the new album. I want to hear about how that experience was, and plus you have a documentary out for Lowest of the Low.
Yeah, that's a shocking thing to be involved in. It's like, are we dying? Or are we? It's anything like that. You start to think like, is it over?
You think that's the last chapter in the book that this was Lowest of the Low and how it was, and here's how the whole lifespan of it was.
Yeah, and you also you have no control. Like I told the director, at first there's a sort of feeling out process of like how much vulnerability and all that kind of stuff. And he was sort of like, I think kind of maybe because I'm the songwriter or the singer of the band, he was kind of sending stuff to me. And I said, listen, like, I hope you're not sending this to me so that I can sign off on it or something. Yeah, because I don't want it to be a fluff piece. Like you make your film like we would make our records. Nobody comes in and tells us what to
Very
do,
true.
right?
Yeah.
So I don't want to do that. So I just said, if I say it, once I take the lavalier mic off, if I've said it, then you feel free to use it, right?
Very true, yeah. Yeah, well, there's probably a nervousness from the director because, it's a legacy band at this point. Like it or not, independent or not, it's a Canadian legend that this band is.
Yeah, and it's an experiment. It's still an experiment now. Like this, I think that's one of the things that the documentary nailed was that we made a bunch of decisions that felt right for us and are right for us because we take ownership of our own fate. Mm-hmm. But they maybe weren't the right decisions, whatever that means, right? We made a lot of crazy decisions, and some of them were good and some of them were bad, but they were all ours. Like that's the thing. At the end of the day,
right?
We're always saying like, I just want to know all the mistakes on a record are ours, not somebody else's.
Well, was it weird having everything for the documentary, having a whole bunch of stuff documented and having these cameras and lights and microphones in your faces? Did it change any of your, daily routines at all, or how you act?
Not really. After a while, it becomes kind of, you kind of almost don't. I mean, not that you don't notice it, but you almost kind of don't notice it. It's
Yeah.
like,
You get used
and
to it.
you're talking about a bunch of hams anyway, right? Like we've been all doing this for so long that it's not weird for us to
No.
talk about ourselves or, or have a camera pointed at us or
Yeah.
something. But
It's part of the job.
some more than others. There's some guys in the band that are less comfortable with it, but.
All right. Did you have another question?
Well,
'Cause
the
I
new
have
album.
some
The new
more.
album just came out. Yeah.
Let's touch on that. Sorry.
How's that?
Yeah, so it's great, man. Like, well, it's called Welcome to the Plunder Dome, and I'd say it's the second. We released a record called Agipop in 2017 or 2018, and this, I think, is sort of a sequel to that record in that, I'm a pretty political person, but up until then, with the Low, have been known sort of like to bake the politics into the cake, kind of the more personal stories, and sort of just keep it maybe a small P politics.
Yeah.
And these last two records have been much more yelly and finger pointy, big P politic records.
Okay.
And it's been fun. And then we've been dipping back into some styles that we hadn't used as much, like ska and, getting to that kind of stuff, some world beat stuff and ska and soul and stuff like that.
Which will be
So there's
great.
some of,
Yeah.
some of that was still the indie rock Low sound and the punky stuff. And we're excited about it. So it's kind of like there's not a lot of breathing room in it. There's not a lot of balance. It's pretty pumpy.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what we love, and that's exactly what we love about the Lowest Low. I think the fans are going to love. There's going to be a little bit of new music being performed, I'm guessing, down at the warehouse. And
April 12th.
Yeah, April 12th.
Friday, April 12th, which is in like a month. Just a month away.
Yeah, well, we're getting ready. We're going to sell this baby out, man, because it's going to be great to have Lowest of the Low here in St. Catharines and warehousenagra.com to get those tickets.
I am so thankful to have you on, but I have a couple goofy questions to ask you. And one is based on the whole Kellogg's, boycott happening right now. What is your favorite sugary breakfast cereal?
I was pretty much raised on Count Chocula.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And I had a moment one night. I came out of Sneaky D's, a bar in Toronto one
Love
night,
Sneaky
and I
D's.
was super high on LSD, and it was really like maybe 3 in the morning, 2 in the morning, and I was in this little supermarket trying to get hydrated, and there was a guy in front of me, and his back was to me, and when I heard his voice, I was obsessed, and I said, I was haranguing this poor guy, saying like, dude, you're Count Chocula, right? Because I was convinced it was the guy who did the voice in the commercials for the Count Chocula cereal. And I'm surprised I have any teeth because I was raised on that.
That's amazing.
And one other goofy question. What TV are you binging right now?
What TV am I binging? Well, we just wrapped watching Succession again.
Okay.
Just because we like to keep tabs on the ruling class.
Yes.
And what's next? I guess my daughter's just turning 18 in March, and she had never seen The Sopranos, so we went back and we're watching The Sopranos as well.
Oh, wow.
But I have a long list of things that we've also been watching a lot of Baroness von Sketch, which is pretty funny.
So British.
Yeah.
Isn't that British?
No, it's Canadian.
Okay.
Yeah,
wow.
Canadian sketch, all women sketch comedy.
Wow. I'm a big TV buff, and I like the reality TV, but I also like the other nitty gritty.
Oh, we were watching The Bachelor. This recent guy too. We've been watching him.
I'm more like Vanderpump and Below Deck,
Oh,
and
right.
Summer House, all of that stupid drama. But I really like. There's a lot of really good. Harlan Coben series? The writer, there's a lot of his series that are out on Netflix and such, and they're really good watches. Thriller leave you at the edge of your seat the whole time, and they're short series, and it's really cool to watch.
Sweet.
All right. I want to say again, thank you very much. We are excited to see you April 12th at the Warehouse in St. Catharines with Iron Roses. Is there anything you would like to say to all your fans out there to get them hyped up for that show?
We love you, and you will love the Iron Roses. If you like Lowest of the Low, you're going to love Iron Roses too. And think about that. That's going to be an entire catalog of music if you haven't heard them that you can
And where
get
can
into
we
and catch up on.
where can we find out all the latest and greatest information on Lowest of the Low and all your music?
Oh, lowestofthelow.com and ronhawkins.com. Both of those places you can find my paintings. You can find my solo stuff on ronhawkins.com and low stuff. And you can find all the low stuff on lowestofthelow.com. And Kendra and Jay will be on stage being hype men for us at the
Beautiful
show.
I would love that.
Love that.
T-shirt cannons or something. I don't know. So something's going to happen.
I would love that. That would be awesome. Thank you so much for spending this time with us. We really appreciate it. At least I do.
I
don't
love
know.
it. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm a huge
I don't
fan.
want to speak for Jay,
No.
but I loved it.
I'm just letting you ask goofy questions.
Yeah, because you have to just ask everything you
Right,
possibly
yes.
can when you get them on the line.
Or you won't know that Ron met Count Chocula. So.
Yeah.
No,
exactly.
and I'm a big fan of Sneaky D's as well on college, if that's what you're talking about.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
nachos
yeah.
are fantastic, and God bless Sneaky D's.
For sure.
All right.
Beautiful.
We should play some more Lowest of the Low.
Yeah.
I really like this song. We're going to go to Lowest of the Low. Hey, kid, you got soul. Everybody say bye to Ron.
Thanks, Ron.
Bye. Thanks very much, guys.
Thank you.
Ciao.